Hello, this is Joe, and Article 7, no punishment without law. So nobody can be found guilty of a crime that wasn't a crime at the time it was committed. So this means if you did something and then the next day it became illegal to do that, you couldn't get punished because it wasn't legal when you did it, basically. And the way that this is affected is Amnesty International. They basically work together to make sure that nobody is imprisoned for unfair reasoning or unjust reasoning, and that would be an unjust reason because the crime wasn't committed. How was they supposed to know that the next day it was going to be classed as a crime? This, in theoretical senses, is meant to actually reduce the amount of people being imprisoned, because we've all done things that a year later you can't do, and that would class most people as people who committed crime. So then Amnesty International would provide aid to the people who have been imprisoned or just about to have a trial, because they aren't actually responsible. They aren't actually responsible for committing any crimes. The United Nations and EU would also make sure that this isn't going to happen, as they'd make sure that in all court systems around the countries, whether it's in Europe or in the world, that will be part of the law, that you can't be committed for a crime that wasn't a crime when it was done. So that's Article 7 done. So Article 8, respect for your private life. This is basically you are respected for your family and home and correspondence. So you have the right to live your life privately, so without government interference. So this is things like you can determine what sexual preference you have, or what lifestyle you have, the way you want to dress, the way you want to look. You can also control who sees your body and who touches your body. Things like that. So the United Nations would ensure that this human right is kept by producing laws for all the countries, making sure that they do. And in the countries, they would have stuff like restraining orders. If somebody's affecting someone's life, they'd make sure that they don't come near each other. And as well as making sure by the European Union, they would make sure that all the European countries would have this implemented in real life, but also virtual reality, so that they have the right to privacy on the internet, so their information won't always get spread around everywhere. So that is Article 8. Article 9, freedom of thought, belief and religion. This is basically you have the right to believe what you want and have the religion of what you want. So you have the freedom to be Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or atheist, or agnostic. You can totally pick your teachings of belief, and you can practice with your worship as you please. This is part of the European Union sanctions, as they make sure that countries within the EU do allow this. This is why some countries aren't allowed into the EU, because they are a very one religion-based country, and they might be a threat to other religions if a freedom of religion and belief was implemented. Also, Amnesty International comes in here because this protects people who are wrongly imprisoned, and if you're imprisoned because of belief or religion, then that's wrong, and they would come and empower you and tell you what to do and how you can get out of it because that's wrong. This used to be ethnic cleansing sort of thing. So back in the Holocaust, all the Jewish people were killed by the Germans due to their belief and religion. So that's how it could be violated in large terms. And of course those are war crimes, which I just said. So they've been made sure that they're included in United Nations and the European Court of Human Rights for that to never happen again. In theory, but of course it doesn't always stay that way. But acts will be taken, sanctions will be taken if they are not abided by. So then, Article 10, freedom of expression. So this is, according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, you're allowed to express you're allowed to express your own opinions without interference, and you're allowed to look for information, receive it or seek information and ideas through any media, and regardless of any frontiers. So basically, you're allowed to express your feelings, you're allowed to express your ideas, as long as they're not, I would say, extremist ideas or ideas that are dangerous and bad for you. So Liberty is one of the ones which is big in this, because they campaign for freedom and be entitled to all the human rights so that they can express themselves properly. Because a lot of the times when you express your ideas or your feelings, sometimes you can often get people saying, why are you expressing that? So that is where Liberty are big in that, because they like to express how they feel. So then, Article 11, freedom of assembly and association. So you have the right to form any trade union or be part of any group, as long as it's not extremist or terrorist based. This is good because it allows people to do as they please in the way that they feel. So if they feel like they like this certain thing, then they can be part of a group to do with that, or association, so they don't feel lonely in that. So this can be political parties. So if you agree with certain things, then you can join different political parties and be able to join trade unions to be able to work with each other and get the best out of that work. So be able to get out stuff like pay rises or reduce retirement age. If you're in a trade union and they're not happy with the new rules implemented, then you can strike, obviously. So then, this is good with Liberty. Liberty work to do with this because they once again express freedom and the freedom to be able to join associations and assemblies. Also, the European Court of Human Rights also uphold this human right, because they make sure that everybody in Europe has this, as some companies, for example schools and education, if the teachers strike because they're not happy with the pay, they can't fire them. This is part of a human right, and they're allowed to be part of a trade union. They're allowed to strike, they're allowed to do certain things, and this means that if they did fire them, then there'd be a big court suit going against them, and that Amnesty International would come in as well to make sure that they haven't been wrongly treated, wrongly imprisoned if they're part of a political party. So they're allowed to be part of whatever they want in the eyes of assembly and associations. So then this can be violated by, as I said, if you're part of a trade union and they decide to strike, then you can't be fired, you can't be treated wrongly for that. You have to be accepted for being in that assembly or association. So then, Moving on to Article 12, which is the right to marry and start a family. So now obviously this is men and women to marriageable age. They're allowed to marry another person. Recently, same-sex marriages have started coming in. So you're allowed to do that, and you're allowed to start a family, whether it's your children or adopting or any other way you're allowed to start your family. So this is implemented in the UN, EU, and of course the European Court of Human Rights. As you're allowed to have a family, and you're allowed to get married, and this can be with your family's consent or without your family's consent at the correct age. So this has to be done through a actual, whether it's a church or a correct thing, so that it is a legal marriage. Then the European Court of Human Rights agrees that you have the right to be married, you have the right to start a family, and that nothing can really stop you from that, apart from certain things. This could be violated by things like underage marriage. So in foreign countries where girls are getting married to older men when they're about 13, 14, the UN and the EU would try and cut that out, and they'd produce laws in the countries saying that that's wrong and making it illegal with punishments to it, and try and cut down on that when they find out about it. So that's Article 13.